In the previous lesson, you learned how to load the Damage Assessment Survey, that's this application, onto your phone so that you could report damages from a field level during an emergency management recovery response. The second step typically in this suite is to edit data. Not because we necessarily want you to change the data coming in from the field, but we would like the Emergency Operations Center personnel to actually add additional data to what the field have already put in. This is typically because the field might not have damage assessment dollar values. They might not know any federal programs that the item they're reporting damage on might belong to. So all this information is controlled at the Emergency Operations Center level. As such, this is a secure application, so when we taught you about the survey, it was open up to everyone, and anyone could load it on their phone and use it. The editor has to be accessed through an ArcGIS online account and a named user license so that the system, ArcGIS Online, will track any changes made by the user. So just like most applications, you'll log in with a user ID and a password, and we can tell who the last person that made any changes to a specific assessment would be. If you would like to gain access to the Damage Assessment Editor, you must be an Emergency Operations Center within the state of California, and you need to contact the Yolo County Office of Emergency Services, or better yet, put your GIS person in contact with us so we can ensure that you have the access level needed to use the editor. I'm already logged into ArcGIS Online, which is why I have this nifty screen with all these icons. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the editor icon to open that application. Sometimes it may take a few minutes to open depending on how much data is collected during a really large scale event. There could be thousands and thousands of points in here, which may make it take a little bit longer. You'll know that it's open because all of the tools up here in the upper right hand corner will be loaded. And I even had a little thing asking me if I wanted to view what I was viewing when I closed it last, because I've been on it quite a bit. So I've gone ahead and I've entered 4 independent points on here using the Survey 123 application from my phone. I entered them right off my smartphone so that I could show you how the editing works in the editor. Here in the editor, the button you want to note is this Smart Editor button. Looks like a little light bulb with a pencil. If I click on the Smart Editor, you can see that the colors of the dots are shown to you. This is based on whatever logic the person who entered it selected. So if it was a building inspector, they probably are entering a building. If it was somebody from your ag department, they might have entered crop loss under farm and ranch. Or if it was maybe a levee maintaining agency, they might have entered damage on, say, a levee or a canal system under the water conveyance logic. Or if you're roads, then you enter damage to roads on the transportation systems. So that's what the colors mean. You'll see the colored dots show up. And I'm going to be playing with this purple point for demonstration purposes. That happens to be my house. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right on that purple dot. I already have the Smart Editor open. So once I click on that dot, it's going to open all of the information that the person from the field app put in. So you can see everything that they've entered, what they've selected, if they left anything blank. Your whole goal in the Emergency Operations Center is to try and fill in as many of the blank ones as possible. So you can see here that I've got a couple blanks and I'll go through them. Approximate amount removed. Well, if we don't know how much debris was removed from this site or it hasn't been repaired yet, because this is actually a private home that has a separated chimney. So maybe it hasn't been repaired, they haven't removed the bricks from the chimney, replaced them with new ones, or whatever that fix is for that location. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to leave that blank until we know. We can always come back and edit it multiple times. On the FEMA Public Assistance category, since it is an individual house, it doesn't actually have a public assistance category. And for those damage assessment logics that are directly tied to a public assistance category, for instance, roads is a category all its own, that will automatically populate. The field person doesn't even have to enter it. So you just need to make sure that the right category is in here, because that is what's controlling all of the addition on the application you'll learn in the next lesson. FEMA program infrastructure, that's something that usually the field people do not know, but if a damage report actually belongs to one of these federal programs, NRCS, PL 8049, or FHWA, you can select that and add it to the report right here. Typically, the damage amount is blank, kind of like that, and so is EOC verified. I've obviously been playing with these points, and you'll even notice that anytime I change something, it'll prompt me to save this. It does not auto save, so if this save button is dark blue, you need to press it to save your changes. Since the damage amount is typically blank when we enter the Smart Editor, we want to try to attach a dollar figure to that piece of damage. You might do this by looking up assessor's records or taking comparables in the area if it's a home, or working with a certified engineer if, say, it's a public facility or a levee or something, to get that dollar figure. The dollar figure needs to be entered as just straight numbers, no commas or punctuation of any kind. I'm just going to go ahead and say this chimney being repaired is going to be an estimate of about $40,000. And since I'm in the EOC, I'm going to put that I have verified this. This is a really important one because we can actually filter with the little filter button up here for things that have not been verified by the EOC yet, and those will be the first things we want to focus on making verified. So if you are verifying something, make sure you type that you verified in it. You could type yes, you could type your name, just so long as you populate that field. Once you make changes, I obviously didn't. I changed everything back to the way it was, so my little save button disappeared. But if your save button is blue, again, make sure you hit it. The damage photos or attachments here have been entered by the field. Please don't ever remove them, ever, ever, ever. I can't stress that enough. We will be needing those for recovery purposes because a photo will be taken at the time of damage, and sometimes when you go back to assess it later, it's already been repaired, so we have to have those photos. So once you've populated whatever you need and you've hit the save button, you can hit back to go back to the main Smart Editor page, and you can go ahead and add more information to more of these dots. You really never want to delete a dot unless you personally have verified that that dot was entered incorrectly, because you can't get that data back. Somebody will have to go back into the field and reassess it. So only delete something if you are absolutely certain that it was entered in error. If you're in the slightest way on the fence about that, just leave it in. We can always straighten it out later. That's as hard as it is to use the Damage Assessment Editor. It's really a pretty simple program.